Good afternoon. My name is Mary Ellen Rogolski. I'm the chairman of the Orange County Industrial Development Agency. And I want to call to order the meeting of January 14th of the regular scheduled board. So we'll start going through the agenda, and the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll pledge to the virtual flag that we have in our mind's eye, because I don't have any flag. But so I'll start. I pledge allegiance. Oh, there you go.
There you go, Denise.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is the roll call. So first up, Mr. Diana.
Here.
Mr. Desalvo. You gotta unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm present.
Mr. Brescia.
Here.
Mr. Gatos.
Here.
Mr. McCary.
Here.
Ms. Quinn.
Here.
Thank you. And then we have Lori Viasuso, excuse me, Lori. Chief Executive Officer, Vinnie Cozzolino. Managing Director, Melanie Schouten, Chief Operating Officer. Ed J, Chief Financial Officer, and Kevin Dowd, Attorney, and Russ Kenzel, Attorney. So thank you for joining us, everybody. So the first item on the agenda is this is the annual reorganizational meeting where we elect chairman, elect other officers, and make appointments for the year. And first up is to elect the chairman. So do we need a motion and a second for this? Is that how this works?
What we do is ask for nominations.
Yeah, okay. So I'll entertain.
I nominate Mary Ellen Rogolski.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so does anybody have any other nominations or questions or comments they care to make?
Motion to close.
Okay, thank you. So just help me out with the protocol here, Kevin. So I will graciously accept your appointment, or your, I guess appointment is the right word.
Well, they have to vote for it. They have to actually
Gotta
vote.
vote first.
Okay, thank you. I forgot, did it last year, it was a while ago. All right, do you want a roll call vote, or we just vote?
Yeah, a motion to appoint you.
Well, we already had that. We got Eddie and we had Mike as a second.
Take a vote. You can do it by acclamation if you wish.
Okay, all right. So if they're hearing no further comments or questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Again, I'm very honored to accept the position for another term. So then next up is the election of other officers, and the second one would be vice chairman. So currently Eddie Diana is our vice chairman, so I'll entertain a motion. Is there anybody that would like to make a nomination for vice chair?
I would move we nominate Eddie Diana.
Okay, thank you, John. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Denise. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, congratulations, Ed.
Thank you, everybody. I'll
Um,
try to do a good job for you all. Thank you.
You always do, and we appreciate your support. Okay, second vice chair is next up, and that is currently is Jim Desalvo. So I will entertain a motion to thank you. Can you do yourself?
No,
No, I didn't think so.
I don't think so.
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
make the motion.
All right, thank you, Denise.
I'll
I'll take a
second
second. All right. Thank you, Steve. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, congratulations, Jim.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up is secretary. Currently, Steve Brescia is our secretary. I will entertain a motion to nominate Mr. Brescia to be the secretary.
So moved.
Right, thank you. And Denise, you gave a second. Okay. Anybody, any questions or comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, good. Secretary, congratulations, Steve. And then assistant secretary currently is Mr. Gatos. And I will entertain a motion to nominate Mr. Gatos to be reinstated.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, all right. Mike, you get it again. Okay, thank you. Okay, so next we have the Audit, Finance, Governance, Accelerator and Human Resources Committee. So we're doing those first, or we're doing the other appointments?
Committees first.
And Mary Ellen, if everything's the same or no one is going to add, can we just make a motion to
Do it all at once.
Make
Well,
the slate all at
the
once?
committees are the chair's appointment, so I don't think we have to.
Okay.
Mary Ellen, would you like me to read through what we have right now?
Yeah, quickly, if you could do that, but I do think we can do them all in one swell swoop. Mike,
Yeah.
we've done that in the past. As long as everybody's in agreement, there would be no changes.
Right,
So yeah, if you could do that, Lori, I'd appreciate it.
sure. So Audit Committee is Jim Desalvo Chair, Eddie Diana, Mike Gatos, with the alternate of Denise Quinn. Finance Committee is Jim Desalvo Chair, John McCary, Mike Gatos, and the alternate is Ed Diana. Governance Committee is Ed Diana Chair, Mike Gatos, Jim Desalvo, and the alternate is John McCary. Accelerator Committee, Ed Diana Chair, Mary Ellen Rogolski, Denise Quinn, and the alternate is Steve Brescia. And lastly, the Human Resources Committee is Mary Ellen Rogolski Chair and Mike Gatos.
So I would make the motion if there's no additions or deletions to accept.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Anybody have any questions or comments?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great, thank you. So next we have the Chief Executive Officer, which currently is Lori Biasuso, and this we have to do by a resolution, is that correct?
Correct, yes, we normally do this by resolution, so I don't know how you want to handle all of them. You want to do each one individually, you want to do them as a package?
I'm okay doing, I mean, what do you guys think? I'm okay doing them all as a pack. There's really no changes contemplated here, and
There is only one thing that
oh, there
I'll
is?
do
Okay,
really quickly. Actually, two things. So one of them is that we are now officially identifying and appointing our lobby firm of Brown Weinrob. Because we do have them, we retain them, it's $5,500 a month, but we appoint Kevin every year. So we figured it was only fair to appoint a Brown Weinrob as well.
okay,
The other one is, and that's for lobbying services for both the IDA and the Accelerator. The other one is a new resolution for the relationship between the OCFC and the IDA. This is a result of the bylaws change that we made last month. We are formalizing the relationship between the two entities. It is not a financial relationship, but the IDA's staff works for the OCFC. And so we wanted, and we use their offices, we use their, supplies, or the OCFC uses the IDA's offices and supplies. So because we have that relationship, we felt, and we put it in the bylaws of the OCFC and felt it was important to confirm that relationship through resolution, and then we'll sign an agreement between the two. Again, for $0, there's no money for staff. It's nothing to that effect. It's just formalizing that relationship. So those are the only two additions.
One more is the review and adoption of the mission statement on an annual basis.
Oh, right. Good.
So that was the last one.
Thank you for catching that.
of the what, mission statement, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Does there need to be any mention with respect to the relationship between the IDA and the OCFC, the fact that we have like board members? I know there was something in the bylaw changes.
In the bylaws, yeah.
But does
Like
it,
board members, like officers. In other words, you have the same personnel being
Right.
CEO, COO, CFO.
okay, all right, so it's just for the officers, okay. All right, anybody have any questions or comments, or do you want to see anything particular with those three things? All right, so hearing none, my suggestion is that we go ahead and zip through the resolutions, do them all at once, because except for what was discussed, there are no changes, and those changes aren't substantial, they're more like housekeeping and tidying up. So for all of the appointments and the resolutions thereof, I need a motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you, and a second.
Second.
Thank you. And then we'll take a vote. So go ahead, Kevin, you want to do that?
Sure. Mr. Gatos,
Yes.
Mr. Brescia,
Steve, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I muted myself, sorry. Yes,
Mr. McCary,
Yes.
Mr. Diana,
Yes.
Mr. DeSalvo,
Yes.
Ms. Quinn,
Yes.
Chairwoman Rogowski.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes, Madam Chairman. All the resolutions have been adopted.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you, everybody. So then the next item we have is approval of the minutes. The first one is the December 10th board meeting. And I do have a comment. I noticed a typographical error on page 25 of the IDA minutes, where you're talking about the, it's a spec warehouse building in Goshen, and it says 500 square feet, and I think that's supposed to be 500,000 square feet.
Yes, okay, got it.
So if you could just correct that, please.
Will do.
Anybody have any other questions or comments? All right, so hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of December 10th.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. Also under the minutes is the December 10th Governance Committee meeting minutes, which appeared to be fine to me. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Governance Committee minutes.
So move.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay, so those are approved. Thank you. Next up is financial reports and requests for payments. Ed?
Ed, you're muted.
Yep, yeah, by now, I got myself ahead of the game. All right, first chart is the cash balance for the IDA, just under $6 million. Second chart is the IDA expenses, income and expenses for December. Basically a net outflow of $56,000. They only say that can't think of it in offhand there. Yeah, we did pay the insurance bill for the year. Third chart is the accelerators income and expense. Again, for the month of December, net outflow of $134,000. And now we're the statement of net assets. Basically, I would only make comment that I think it's pretty clear. I think it's there's something I want to mention about here, but we do have a lot of payables coming in because at the beginning of the year, a lot of things are catching up from year end. And you'll see that in some of the payments for the vouchers. The final chart is the receipts for December, which we had none. And then on the voucher payments, we have $110,000. A lot of those are the agency contracts. And there's the standard professional and legal services we buy. And then the final two there, we closed out the escrow accounts for the labor audits, and there was some interest on there, and we will be paying that back to the two parties.
Right.
So that's basically the only thing I want to make a comment about that Lori was mentioning at a different earlier was for the IDA or for the Business Accelerator. I'm working with our bookkeeping and accounting firm to implement on an online payment system for the Accelerator expenses. It basically is whatever we spend on the service, that'll be a reduction on the cost to UHY. And I'm expecting to have better turnaround time as far as payments and also better accounting of it, because that'll be linked to our QuickBooks directly rather than try to do things through paper. And that should be implemented sometime by the end of the quarter.
Okay, and that would also contain the same separation of duties that the manual system does, correct?
Yeah, will be a feature where, as I understand, that someone can submit, and I will approve, and then that will still be viewed by the auditors and whoever else wants to look at it. We can also put another, I believe we could probably put another level in if we need to for a certain amount.
Well, I would say that it should mirror whatever it is you're doing now. You know, it's just going to be more automated. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a big push to, if it can be automated.
Oh, yeah,
sure.
definitely. Yeah, 100%. I
And
would
since the
like,
cost, since we have enough business on the IDA, for the business accelerator to pay for it, the separate account for the few checks that we do on, the IDA, it doesn't pay for it.
okay. I would like to point out that year-to-date, the accelerator budget came in $400,000 less than what was budgeted for. So given what happened with the COVID and all the other things that went on, I think that was an excellent and well-done job managing the accelerator and the expenditures. So kudos to you guys. And I think it should not go unnoticed. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Well, I think it's also good, Mary Ellen, that we realized the money that we were spending, and so we took $400,000 out for next year. I
Right.
think a plus in the right direction, and that we are all, as board members, aware of that, and we do everything each and every day to make it more efficient and more effective. And I think now that we got through the COVID piece, to take the 200,000 out and really 400,000 out, I think is the right thing to do. So.
Yeah, agreed. But again, given what we're under, I think that that's an outstanding job. So
Yep, I agree.
and definitely should not go unnoticed.
Yep.
Okay, so does anybody have anything else they want to talk about? All right, thank you, Ed. So hearing none, we'll go on to new and unfinished business, which starts with the chairman's report. So the
I'm sorry.
chairman.
So sorry, Mary Ellen, did you get a motion in a second for the financial?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm glad you're paying attention. Sorry about that. No, I did not get a motion in a second. So since there's no questions or further comments about the financials, I'll entertain a motion to accept them as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Eddie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Melanie, for keeping me on track. So now we will go to the new and unfinished business with the chairman's report. And as usual, the chairman has nothing to report. So we'll go on to the chief executive officer's report.
Hello, thank you. So hi, everybody. Thank you again for, or not thank you again. Thank you for the first time for appointing me for 2021. I appreciate it. And I am looking forward to another year of working together. So I have a short report for you today. Really, the first thing is something that I mentioned during the resolutions for annual reorganization, which is the agreement between the IDA and the OCFC. You'll see it in your packet. It's on page 35 and essentially just, galvanizes the relationship between the two entities. To Mary Ellen's point earlier, mentions that the boards are the same, the staff is the same, and that we share all of the office space. So we will, I will get to execute both sides of that agreement, it looks like. So that's, I'm sure, very interesting. So we'll do that and we'll have that relationship formalized. The annual documents were in your packet for this month that you received via mail. So the ABO acknowledgement of fiduciary duty, the confidential evaluation of board performance, and the certificates of independence all need to be executed and returned to Melanie as soon as possible. All of those are pieces of our annual compliance, which is underway right now. We're currently in the middle of our regular 2020 audit, which includes the letters that have gone out to every active IDA project, includes JGS reviewing all of our ongoing expenditures, and then also all of the other reporting that we have to do and submit to the state via Paris. So all of that is underway, in addition to an Office of the State Comptroller review of the year prior's Paris reporting. So we have essentially two audit reviews going on at the same time. But as those get underway, those three items that I mentioned do need to be returned to Melanie so that we can comply by the time it's time to submit everything in March. So again, all of those letters have gone out. Melanie and Ed worked together very closely this year to once again revise the letters for ease of use, for clarity and direction. And then once again, we're working with JGS to figure out who is and isn't responding. And then we will report to you by our March meeting who hasn't responded. And as we have done in years past, should there be someone who doesn't respond at all or doesn't comply or fails, we will certainly bring that to the board and potentially act on it. I will tell you, we also added in that letter, I believe I mentioned this before, but I just want to reiterate that we added into that letter a section for any business that has fallen short of their jobs figures for this year, giving them an opportunity to explain why they've fallen short this year. Again, with COVID being what it is, we wanted to give them at least the opportunity and then substantiate any differences between what their initial job opportunities or what they initially thought their job figures would be, and then what they wound up in 2020. So we will have all of that for you again by March. We're meeting together again today on Zoom because the executive order for public hearing or for public meetings to be able to be held remotely was extended through January 29th. We'll keep you posted about whether or not that gets extended to February. Also in your packet, we have the IDA agent recaps. So as a little reminder, every year we authorize a few non-for-profits to do some work on our behalf. We pay them for it, but we make sure that we are that we have evidence of the services that we've received for those monies. So for instance, in your packet, you have the year-end reports for the Youth Bureau, from the Orange County Youth Bureau, the Women's Enterprise Development Center, and the Hudson Valley Agribusiness Development Corp. And especially for the Youth Bureau, which Melanie takes a very active role with, we usually do a conference, an in-person conference where we bring a lot of high schoolers to teach them how to interview and how to write resumes. But because of COVID, they revised their whole plan and they did a video web series. It's a video library. So they're rolling that out, and they should have that out very shortly. But it's a really nice thing to do, reaching out to the youth who are going to be in the job market, and certainly not necessarily everyone has plans for college. So it's really helping them. It does help with college, but also helps people figure out how to apply for jobs straight out of high school, how to write your resume, present yourself, thinking about your social media, things like that. So it's a really nice program. I encourage you to read about it. It's in your packets. The last two things are just really, first of all, the articles on Shelley Scott and Zeal are in your packet. We had a lot of great coverage. Vinny's going to talk a lot more about this during his report. We had a lot of great coverage about the Accelerator this last month. We were on the front page of the Record with Zeal's transition from active wear into mask making. So there's been, quite a bit of buzz, as some well-deserved buzz, I would say, for the companies that have either transitioned during COVID or decided to just continue to operate. And, like Shelley Scott, for instance, at our Accelerator in Newburgh, opened a retail shop in the middle of COVID rather than sitting down and waiting for it to pass. So good for them and good for us, because it's nice to get some notice, I guess, recognition in the press. Lastly,
Lori, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is Zeal, are they also still doing their active wear, or they stopped that now?
they're doing both. So
Good.
they have their big machine and they're also doing their active
Yep.
wear.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just lastly, and again, I'm sure Vinny will mention this as well, but on January 7th, we had a tour of the accelerators in Newburgh, the 605 and 603 facilities with the county exec Steve Newhouse. We had Steve Brescia was there, as well as Jim Kulisek, Paul Ruskevich, Kathy Stagenga, and Mike Paduke. Mary Ellen and Mike Gatos were also there. We had our community activist friend, James Rollins, who really came to kind of brought everybody together for that event. And it was, I think, really illuminating for a lot of people who haven't been to the accelerators. It's hard to tell the story of what an accelerator is, how it works, and how it's related to the IDA. I mean, we tell the story all the time, but it makes sense to us because we see it. So having the opportunity to tour and to have the business owners, as we mentioned in the accelerator meeting, to have the business owners be able to say for themselves what the accelerator means, I think went a long way to just getting people to understand sort of what the accelerator does, but also the value in everything that we've done up to this point. So that being said, that's my entire report for today, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Well, I would add to that little event we had there. Steve Newhouse was really impressed by it. He actually went over his time allotted by a half hour. And I know Steve, if he don't want to be there, it's easy for him to scoot, but he stayed an extra half hour. He really was impressed.
Yeah.
I had lunch with him afterwards. He said, we need to do more of that, because you don't see it unless you're there. Like the videos don't really, that 30-second video is nice, but to go there and see it like that, you get much more out of it.
Well, it makes it tangible, doesn't it? When
Absolutely.
when you kick the tires, you really understand what's going on. So
Yeah, those women were more than impressive, and
yeah,
and without the accelerator, they would not be where they're at. And everybody says that, but without seeing it and hear from them, you get a whole different outlook on it.
Right. Well, that site too, yeah, the site is also very beneficial because when you stand out on the street in front of 603, 605, you see what those buildings are done in the courtyard and everything else. But then you look to your right and you see the building that goes from there to the end of the corner, which had been next to the strip manufacturer or Newburgh Yarn Mills, it was at the time. And, you had another old factory building that's been completely revamped and it has professional offices and other things. And, the probability of that happening without this, I think, is pretty minimal because that building was trying to reinvent itself for a long time. So, that's the added benefits that economic development has that isn't necessarily tangible or it's tangible, but it's difficult to account for it, so I think that really spoke volumes to what, the multiplier factor that you get from the accelerators too. So all in all, I thought it was a really good day. So thanks for putting it together, you guys. And definitely a thanks to Jim Rollins, who really helped us, get people to get involved. So that was great. Anybody have anything else? Okay, then I guess next up is the board committee reports, and the first up is the audit committee. As with Mr. Desalvo.
Unfortunately, it was pretty uneventful today, a short meeting. I don't know if there was any real highlights.
Okay, well, that's okay.
Say there was one thing.
There was just the one thing which I will now hand off to Lori to go over.
The audit committee approved a waiver for 360 Middletown Holdings, and we talked about our compliance overall, and then that the auditors visited the Amy's Kitchen site. Again, they're not under our labor policy, but we engaged Loki Brill to do a check. We reserve the right to check in on any project at any time. So because it's been sort of long delayed and there are some questions about, what the progress was, Kevin Loki went, visited, and got a timeline. They said that they anticipate that they'll start building in second quarter of 2021 and that they'd start moving in their equipment in the second quarter of 2022. So
you're talking about the factory, they're gonna second quarter? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the waiver, that company was the sushi company that went on Crystal Run Road, is that the one?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else have any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, next up is the Accelerator Committee. Go ahead, Mr. Diana.
Yeah, we had a discussion today, Vinny, and we talked primarily about the Warwick Accelerator and that the company Green Thumb is now made an offer to buy all 8 lots that are remaining there and bring in businesses that are related to the marijuana and the CBD. And it's exactly what we wanted to happen there, which I think is great. And Vinny or Lori, you might want to just reiterate some more particulars about that if you want to.
Yeah, when you're done, I will, when you're finished.
Okay. So that was primarily what we discussed today, and it was going very well now in Warwick, which as everybody's pleased about. And really that cluster is really going to start to take off from now and into the future as well. So I think that was a great move to go there originally. Originally, I was very skeptical about it, but it's definitely worked out. And that's going to be a real good accelerator now for us in that area. You want to add to anything or?
Yeah. You want me to go through the rest of the accelerator report? Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So let me start with the budget stuff. You guys alluded to it. So this year, this 2021 budget, we've reduced accelerator without wall spending by $200,000 by plan. We had bumped it up last year because of COVID, and we wanted to help as many companies as possible. I think we all agree we had great outcomes. We had many of the business owners come and talk to the board, to all of you about the how we were able to help them. In addition, John McCary, who I think is still on, I just don't see you, John. There you are, John. In addition, with John McCary's help, we're going through all of our real estate properties. John, do you want to talk, or do you want me to? Why don't you talk about this? Go ahead. Yeah. Want me to do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going through all this. John and I talk a lot about this. So we're going through all of our leased properties, and we're working on the transition, for example, of Zeal to take over their lease completely. We won't have to pay or subsidize any of the rent in those buildings. Mello wants to take his buildings over. And the biggest idea, which was a good idea, John brought this forward to us, our AI facility, we will, instead of us renting the whole building and then having, and then subleasing it to another entity, our idea is to let that entity have the lease of the building and sublease back to us the amount of space we need. And I believe, John, you've received their letter of intent, right?
Yes.
To move forward on that. And they're doing their due diligence now. What, maybe you just want to say a little bit about that, what has to happen there?
We did receive a letter of intent, and we should forward on to our attorney to have his input onto it and, move forward with it, because that could save us a big commitment
Yeah.
every month in Highland Falls.
That's
Yeah, I
great.
think that's a great move.
So that's another 200,000 in savings, but by plan, because it's all as we had expected it to go.
Right. Yeah, the only challenge that's going to be there, which could be a good problem to have, I suppose, is if you run out of space.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because now you don't have the ability to expand in that location.
Yeah.
But I think we can cross that bridge when we come to it, right?
We're going to
I'm
work
sure,
on it
I'm sure the
simultaneously.
Village of Highland Falls will help us find space if we need it.
Right. John McCary said we'll work on it simultaneously, so we'll start looking out just in case that scenario.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Now let's talk about the COVID outreach to the Accelerator Without Walls companies that we have. COVID is still here, and we have businesses are still suffering. We are constantly responding to everything from outbreaks to, believe it or not, new business opportunities. We're going, the new PPP is out, and we've had a number of companies call us. There's a lot of changes to the rules, including there's an upfront PPP that is set up to help minority and women-owned businesses first. We didn't have that in the last PPP round. So we have an expert coming to a webinar that we're hosting on the 19th. We're expecting a lot of participation in that. We sent it to Bill Fioravanti to also send out, should they desire, on behalf of Newhouse and others. We're sending it out to other agencies and organizations. It's a gentleman from Harris Beach who is an expert on this topic. We've used him before. And so we're looking forward to doing that webinar. As a result of that webinar, we will likely become inundated again with companies who are going to want to apply for those. I've already gotten many phone calls from companies who say, help me. And we have companies who have longstanding high-end accounting firms and lawyers that can help them, and they can do it on their own. But we have many small companies that can never do this stuff on their own. So our team is going to mobilize around that as a next step. And we're going to prioritize those those companies who are affected by COVID. Later, we have the loan committee meeting, and each of those companies that have taken a loan, we have communicated with. We understand the status of their business situation, and we're trying to work with them to at least prepare for when we come to the other side of this. Not just to be ready to reopen, but let's reopen in a way that whatever the vision for your business was to grow, we're ready to do it. Use this time to do that. And we're getting a lot of buy-in to that kind of approach. It keeps people sort of on the more positive. That said, the state of the Accelerator Without Walls companies is still very, very good. I can tell you that the companies that have all come in are still growing, and we are pivoting again in a couple of them. And also the governor's speech highlighted a couple of avenues of investment, a couple that play directly into what we want to do. As you know, we have an artificial intelligence accelerator we're working on. And the governor has highlighted telemedicine, and to put centers of excellence in to continue to support and grow telemedicine fits perfectly into our AI accelerator. He talked about cannabis. We're going to talk much more about that later. I think Eddie already made a significant announcement, but you'll all hear more from the company in a few minutes. If you liked our Newburgh accelerator, I have to tell you, my have nothing against the Newburgh Accelerator. I love them all. But the Warwick Accelerator is a piece of art. There's no two ways about it. That was a major, major project. And the fact that we're coming out the other side based on the entire property being occupied in a cluster, cannabis, which we chose, and the fact that we looked ahead and fought the good fight to get there, I think is even more significant and impressive than even the Newburgh one. So anyway, the
Well,
governor.
yeah, I would just like to add, in my opinion, that's a grand slam home run, or like we call it in my house, a grand salami, because, you have the prison, revamp, and then you have the accelerators, and all the subdivision that we help support, all of those lots are going to be done. It's really great for the town of Warwick and the people that are out there. And it's a great location for that thing because it can't be seen from anywhere. So
Yes.
it really, it hits a lot of points. And it's hard to tell what kind of other businesses are going to spring out of that. I mean, when the applicant comes in, we can probably ask him that, but I'm sure that it's just the tip of the iceberg, so, and the fact that they're going to be really good jobs is also really good because, these warehouse jobs are not the future, and they're not the future
Right.
for, our children who are leaving in droves. So,
Yeah.
So good job. And it took some time, and the government has to help us with the regulations, obviously, but again, I think it really is an example of how well this thing can work and how well the IDA can support economic development.
And I tell you, we will be talking about AI the same way soon.
Good.
So, and then I want to tell you that we're getting a lot of calls from our Accelerator Without Walls companies that, as I tell you, they continue to grow. Just yesterday, 3 of them reported new business presentations that they gave. One company called us last weekend, could have been 2 weekends ago, on a Saturday. They received an order for 40,000 bottles of a particular product, and except their client insisted that the bottles, which were glass, they insisted that they would be etched with the name, with the company, with the client's name on it. And as our company tried to do that etching with their laser, all the glass bottles were breaking.
Yeah, that's not easy to do.
Yeah. And so they had tried on their own. They had called everyone they could. They tried, of course, on a Saturday, you're not going to get the laser manufacturer on and on and on, but they got a hold of us. We sent 2 people over there, and, we were able to figure out how to get that done. She reports that if this 40,000 order goes through, they're looking at 400,000 more bottles that they would make behind this.
Wow.
And our companies, one of the things we're finding is that our AWOW companies, them all, but and there's about 200 of them overall, they are being much more risk taking now. So they're going for work that they traditionally would not have gone for. And it's not so much because COVID has slowed them down, because they're in pretty good shape. They're going for it because they have confidence now. They've done well, they can do better, and they're perceiving that. And at least 2 of our companies have raised their starting rates, both FPS and Orange Packaging, significantly, $1 an hour in both cases. They're getting better quality employees as a result, which is something, Lori, you and I do this management training for them, and we try to explain to them that this can only be good for you. We also do an analysis of their company where if they have 100 employees and you raise it, you raise your starting pay or your pay by $1 an hour for each person. Let's keep your payroll constant. Okay, that means now you can afford 95 people at higher rates. So let's find the 5 low performers and we'll move them out and raise everybody else, and let's expect more out of them, et cetera, et cetera. And that in every case we've done this, active ventilation, all these, every case we've done this, at the end of the day, no one ever leaves. Everybody's pay gets raised, because what happens is when productivity goes up, you sell things faster, you sell them with better quality, your client is more impressed, and they give you another order. And so in every case, the companies grow and the labor rates go up. And it's wonderful to get that call from the executives there who say, you know what, you were right about this, right? And as a result of that, our staffing problems have seemed to subside. So we are actually getting employees, even though the $300 for the whatever that thing is with the Department of Labor, the layoff thing or whatever it's called, unemployment insurance, even because of that. And there was a mistake made in some of our advertising campaigning for employees where they put my phone number on there, and I was taking calls, incredible number of calls through Christmas by people who were like, this, I think this would be a better job for me. And the good news about it is, let me just tell you, there are good people out there. There are people who want to work, okay? And when I heard the stories of why they didn't apply on their own or where they're coming from or what's happening, it's not all as we've been told as we believed. I learned a lot of things. But in any case, we are now inundated with applications. And so now we have to keep growing our business. I think what's happening to us is finally the word has gotten out. And the campaign we put in place, by the way, was largely around PPE, right? So who doesn't want to, have a job that is meaningful? And so we were able to make the production of gowns and masks and sanitizers and nitrite gloves and all that stuff part of helping your neighbor, the community, and everything else. And that really, really did help us. And I do want to mention that our elected officials like Carl Brabenak, the two legislators, or other Assembly and Senate people, et cetera, all put on their Facebook page that we were looking for people. And I'm going to tell you that actually helped, which surprises me because I did not think the average person reads their Facebook pages, but they apparently do. And so it worked. It worked for us. We reported this to Steve Knob, right, at the Economic Development meeting last week. And he was happy to hear it also. Okay.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind, and I know at the bank, when I worked at the bank, we talked about this all the time, and in Inspire too, is turnover. Turnover rates with employees is extremely expensive because the cost to hire a new person by the time you put them through orientation and everything else, which is money that you don't get any productivity for, is high. And it's just the more your staffing level churns, the more expensive it is. And that money is spent on things that are not productive. So, that's an added benefit to being able to have a stable labor force.
And I want to report, some of you know this, we've talked about it before, but I want to highlight it. So there's a federal economic development agency grant that totals about $3 million. It has to be a regional grant. So we partnered with Ulster County on this. About $2 million comes to Orange County, $1 million will go to Ulster County through our partner TSEC. We wrote the entire grant, the idea, and it's about increasing and improving accelerators in Orange County or Ulster County. That grant has now been submitted, but for four times it actually went to the people who score it to take a look at it to make it as good as possible. They've liked it very much. They've encouraged us to regionalize it, and we made all the changes they've asked for. That's now in Monday officially. It starts the review process. We hope to hear very quickly as to whether we get that or not. If that does happen, then that will infuse $2 million of federal money into our accelerator program, which we can all decide how we want to use it as that goes on. So I want to make sure John McCary heard that, a potential $2 million. John, did you hear that? All right. He calls me every week. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right. And I want to mention that we're going to look at the PR stuff in a second, but we also did receive a letter that went to Mary Ellen, Eddie, Steve Brescia, others from the mayor and one of the council people of the city of Newburgh, asking us to consider a second accelerator focused on artisan food and healthy food production. They feel they have an entrepreneur base and an interest in that, and they would also bring whatever resources they could to the table through their IDA, et cetera. So we're going to prepare a response back where we would, of course, proceed in a discussion with them, at least the next steps, and see what happens. Okay, that said, I'm going to show you now, Melanie, a little bit about what we've been doing to get the word out. Steve Brescia is one of the folks who says, we don't get the word out on what we're doing. We're trying. And Steve, if your recommendation is for us to do the tour with the rest of the legislators, we'll go ahead and invite them.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. This is so as we did the COVID, our first round of the COVID help last year, when we had increased the AWOW money to help all these companies, we stay in touch with them, we move forward, and we don't want to forget them, and we don't want them to forget us. So you can see here a banner that's held by Patty Cake Playhouse folks, And the banner says, what is it? Powered by the, oh yeah, your business, powered by the Accelerator and the Orange County IDA. And so, you know, we want to keep good relationships with these small businesses that we've helped with. And when our campaign then is to put this on social media. So we put, over 5,200 people have already viewed what we put out there. And I'll show you some of this. This is our Open for Business campaign. Next slide. And here are a couple more companies, and you can see them with our banner taking the pictures. It's a little sad we have to do all of this with masks, of course. So, but it is what it is. Next, these are some more companies. I'll just have Melanie read them off. We're gonna have hundreds, a couple of hundreds of these when we're done. But go ahead, Melanie, just quickly read them off.
Okay. So top left, we'll start with Pamela's Restaurant, which is in Newburgh, Alternate eSource, which is in our Middletown location, MD Preservation, which I believe is in Millbrook, Corporate Images, which is in Newburgh, Mamaru, which is in Newburgh, Fizzy Candy Shop, which is in Warwick, Farm Body Skincare, which is located out of our Middletown location into our Warwick location, Clores Childcare, which is in Port Jervis, Blackridge Farm, which is in Middletown, Rondon Footwear, which is in our 603 Newburgh location, Air Mask USA, which is in Newburgh, and Meadow Blues, which is in Chester.
Okay. By the way, can you let Mike Sweeten in the meeting? There's no reason he can't be in the meeting now, right? He's waiting. Okay, next slide.
Well, he was waiting to talk about the project during resolutions.
Yeah, but he can listen. Okay, next slide. So again, you see the kinds of companies that we're engaging with. These are not traditionally Accelerator or IDA companies, right? But now they're all in the family. And then here's a photo of the visit we had with the legislators. One of the photos taken there. This is at Zeal. Zeal is installing an N95 line, which we helped her receive a $400,000 grant from New York State. And then the equipment came in. It had to be purchased from China. You can only get, believe it or not, machines that can make N95 masks from either China or one or two countries in Europe. None are made in the United States. Wasn't easy to get the machine. And we had about a person and a half working with her over the past 4 months to get this machine up and running. As we were doing final debug of the machine, the equipment technician that Zeal hired, unfortunately, got COVID. And so we had to finish the debug ourselves, but now the product is in qualification. Next slide. This is my favorite photo because Steve Brush is in it. He's all the way to the right. And where were you? Shelley Scott, right? This was with Shelley Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shelley Scott, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you can see everybody. And Shelley was so proud to talk about the work she had done there. Okay, next. This is, so Steve Newhouse was there. And some of you may know that Steve Newhouse does like a Facebook show every day, where he reports on the status of COVID. And then he also tries to bring up something that could be good for the community. And he chose to highlight the Accelerator that day. And there's 3 quotes. I'll let you read them on the left. We could play his video again, but my understanding is all of you have seen it already. Would anyone like to see it again?
No.
No. Next slide. Here is Steve and Marlene, and Marlene at Zeal, and Marlene is explaining the fact that, and this is unique, we chose to use high quality materials for the mask for the N95 mask that Marlene is producing at Zeal. The materials come from Italy, not China, and we're very proud of that. These materials have better function, better filtration, and will actually last longer and be more comfortable. So we weren't just going to make another N95 mask. We sought out to make a better N95 mask. Next. And then this is just some examples of, we've made it in newspapers. The next one. This is Shelley Scott again, and the articles were about, is Newburgh the next fashion Star of New York, etc. But this one is a little worth watching. This was on Spectrum News. Most of you probably did not see this. It's about 1 minute. And if Melanie would be so kind to play it. We don't see anything yet, Melanie. Melanie?
Hold on one
All right,
second. It disappeared from my screen. All right, hold on one second.
Shopping has been booming since the start of the pandemic, but one Newberg fashion designer doesn't want that in-person shopping experience to be a thing of the past. Our Dominic McKenzie tells us how she's decided to open up her own shop.
Shelly Scott opens her boutique in Newburgh every morning to prepare for a day of designing, cutting, stitching, and sewing beautiful articles of clothing.
So today I am making a sample.
No day for her is ever the same. She's been in Newburgh for 2 years, building her business from the ground up. Scott opened her first storefront to sell those incredible designs. Moving her business full-time from the city in June of this year, Scott said she saw a need for women's clothing stores in the area.
Opening before the pandemic happened, but I strongly feel like women still enjoy the shopping experience. I mean, I am a woman. I do like going out, trying on things, seeing how I like it, how it looks on me.
And all of her clients, she said, agree 100% with her decision.
I like to shop. I'm hoping other women do too.
Her business is part of the Accelerator, operated by the Orange County Industrial Development Agency, a program focused on bringing manufacturing back to the Mid-Hudson Valley. She said they've been very supportive.
As far as having a location that's in the area and it's affordable, and the advice and financial help that they give has been a great help for me.
The program facilitates other clients, from drone educators, soap makers, and even a 3D printing startup. Their involvement has facilitated business growth for Scott, having dressed celebrities, including actresses and reality TV stars. This piece she worked on was sold just 3 days later to a happy client. She's happy to know she's contributing to the overall goal of bringing business back to Newburgh.
That makes me feel good knowing that I'm like a first to bring a brand to Newburgh.
Dominic McKenzie, Spectrum News.
The shopping has been booming since the start of the.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and so just to close, there'll be in a few minutes, very soon, you'll see the details of what can happen at the Warwick Park with your help. You've already given a lot of help. It would represent a major success for us in terms of high quality jobs, a new emerging tech industry, an entire tech park populated with CBD, cannabis, testing laboratories, scientists, engineers, technicians, everything we've wanted in
Sorry,
an opportunity to go forward. And here's Mike.
I'm sorry, folks.
That's okay.
Hi, Mike.
Hey,
How
Mike.
How are you?
Okay,
I don't know why you're sorry, but there you are.
Good to see you, Mike.
Good to see everybody. So obviously, I'm excited about the potential. This is huge for us. This is huge for the project. First and foremost, I want to thank the board because I wouldn't be here in this position with this potential project without you folks. You funded this along the way. We've had a great partnership, and I'm so excited about the potential for GTI. It's a quality company that's going to bring great jobs to Orange County and to Warwick, and it's going to be a home run for our community. So I'm hoping that you'll look favorably upon their application and help us land this really, really great project for our county.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So what I guess we have to, there's a person from GTI that wants to do a presentation.
You want me to go ahead and lay the groundwork?
Yes, please.
We'll turn it over. Okay, so everybody received in their emails this morning the latest version of the application from Fiorello Pharmaceuticals, but they operate under GTI, Green Thumb Industries. So as Mike mentioned, this is locating at the former prison site in Warwick. All of the lots, 8 lots, right, Mike, that they would be occupying, which is, an incredible opportunity for Warwick and for Orange County. Vinny and I have met with Rebecca numerous times in the last few weeks. They're a really great company, just like Mike said. I mean, it's a really exciting opportunity for us, and I think for them too, because this site is so perfect for exactly what it is that they're doing, between the cluster and the location of the property and how it's sort of insulated from everything else. The details of the project itself, Rebecca will talk about, but this is a request for incentives like we would have from any company. And if you'll all remember, most of you were board members at the time when we first went into the Shovel Ready project with Mike and with the LDC there at the prison. It was always the intent that someone would come in to occupy that space, and then there would be a conversation about incentives thereafter. So this really falls exactly in line with what we started a number of years ago, and it certainly falls in line with what we've built together with Mike out there on the prison site. So Rebecca's going to talk about it, but again, we will. She'll talk about the jobs. I will tell you before she says anything about it that Vinny and I are very excited for the very competitive rates that they have, and their compensation packages overall are really great. It's something that we really have strived to find for Orange County. It's something that, we've, as an IDA, worked really hard to drive up rates and to drive up benefits to make sure that the people who work here can afford to live here, certainly. And then the people who might be thinking about moving away or moving in have a reason to stay or come. So I'll turn it over to Rebecca, and then afterward we can go over the incentives in greater detail. But Rebecca, if you'd like to start and talk a little bit about GTI.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and for listening. I will keep this very quick, and then you guys can ask any questions that you'd like. Do I have sharing permission? Let's see. Okay, I think I do. All right. So anyway, I am from GTI, as Lori mentioned. We operate in New York under Fiorello Pharmaceuticals right now, though we are in the process of changing that name over to GTI. So you'll see I focus on GTI, but the name is also Fiorello, just to clarify that. So just a little background on GTI. We were founded in 2014 with an initial medical cannabis operation in Illinois. Since then, we have expanded incredibly over the last 6, almost 7 years now. We are in 11 states with actually 12 states. At this point, we have over 50 stores open with another almost 50 on the way. We've got 13 large-scale cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facilities, and we would love to put one in Warwick on the Accelerator site. So we've got pretty much a national presence at this point. We're not in every state that has legal medical cannabis or adult use cannabis, but we are in a lot of them. We have a particular fondness for the Northeast. We feel that that's a place that we can really make a big difference as an employer, as a business, and as a place where people can obtain their medical cannabis and at some point adult use. So here's our map. Then the kind of facility that we would be putting in Warwick. So we have staged this project into 3 phases. The first phase would be around 100,000 square feet. The next phase would be around 200,000 square feet. And then the third phase would be another 100 or so thousand square feet. Obviously that is, a little bit speculative, dependent on how the licensing landscape evolves in New York, but that is what we are projecting, and that's what we hope to bring. So you can see here just a few pictures of kind of like what the inside of one of these facilities looks like. A lot of the space is dedicated to our plants. They require a lot of room, they require a lot of attention, and they require a lot of just management. After the plant cycle, what we do is we extract cannabis oil, and make it into a wide variety of products: topicals, tinctures, capsules, in states where it's permitted, gummies and things like that, vape products, all depending on the local regulations. Security, just in case.
Excuse me, sorry, I'm going to ask a question. Do you
Yes.
also do the actual desell the buds that would be traditionally smoked, or?
In states where that's permitted, yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you.
New York, that is not currently in the regulations, so we don't
Right.
have any of that, but
You know, I know now, no. Yeah.
yeah. In
Thank you.
other states, yes, we sell flour and then we sell what we call either manufactured products or extracted products. And that's really the focus of our brands is in the extracted products space. We feel like that's what has a long-term lifespan, but we also, you know, have, we take a lot of pride in the quality of the plants that we grow and the flour for people who are interested in consuming that in either vaporizer form or smokable forms, depending on preference. So security, you know, we have full access control, full surveillance. You know, everything we make is tracked from what we call seed to sale. So we know at any given time where every plant is, where every product that has come out of that plant is, just everything. So that's just a little on security. What you guys are mostly interested in, I'm sure, are the jobs and our team. Our team is really at the heart of each facility. As I mentioned, like our plants are what we grow, but they require a lot of attention. And we are in a highly regulated business. So our team is just the most important thing. We want to take care of our team. We want them to be well compensated. We want them to have good benefits, and we want them to be happy at their jobs. So here, you know, we give equity, everyone who has been with the company for a year is eligible for equity compensation. We have full medical, vision, dental for everyone who's a full-time employee. And then all full-time and part-time employees have access to our 401k plans, which are actually pretty unique in our industry, just given some of the banking and financial challenges that we face.
Yeah.
And then we have other insurance, you know, disability, life, things like that, that are available regardless of full-time or part-time status. In addition to this, you know, we take a lot of time in our hiring process. We are very careful, and we really want to attract and retain quality employees. So we place a huge emphasis on training and the possibility for advancement and just further career furthering. We have a ton of cross-training opportunities on the job training. We've got some pay for skills programs. And we always look first internally when we are hiring. We have an external job board, you know, obviously like companies do. But we also have an internal one, and all internal candidates who have, you know, the requisite skill set are considered for those roles. So yeah, in addition just to like the more specific things about a job, we really just want our employees to be happy, to enjoy coming to work, and to feel that they are a part of the larger DTI picture, because they are. Every single step in the process is integral to the final product. And, you know, we just want to make sure that everyone really feels that when they come to work. So we pride ourselves on attracting and retaining a diverse workforce. We celebrate diversity. You know, we all work together, and we feel like we've done a pretty good job. I think, you know, we work hard, but everyone is happy coming to work, and really feels a sense of fulfillment from the career that they're building in this new industry. So that's just really important to us. In addition to our commitment to our employees, we are heavily invested in our local communities. It's these community partnerships, and I've talked with Lori and Vinny and Mike about this so many times, which is part of the reason that we're just so excited about this spot. We are nothing without the communities that we operate in. We have facilities all over the country because that's part of the requirement of our business, given that, you know, we operate in a state-by-state landscape. And we are just committed to making sure that we are a good partner and a good neighbor to that. So we do things on a local level as well as a national level. You can see here just a picture of a playground that our team built. I believe that's in Pennsylvania. We did some river cleanups or some beach cleanups in Florida. In Illinois, you can see on the top right, we actually started a LEAP program, which is a pro bono, we call it LEAP. It's basically a pro bono program that we offer to anyone who is interested in applying for the social equity licenses in Illinois. while our applicants have not yet heard back and those licenses have not yet been issued by the state, we are just so proud of the efforts from our team to support minority applicants and other social equity applicants to become a part of this industry. In addition to local efforts, we also have done things on a national scale. We've partnered with the Last Prisoner Project. We've, to give both a financial contribution and also just to raise awareness of what they're doing and to recognize really our place in an industry that was built on the foundation of the war on drugs. And we want to do our part to rectify some of that disparity and that the outcome of that's been very negative. So that's really it. I did add this slide last minute. So sorry that it's not really integrated, but this is sort of a sketch. This is actually Mike's sketch, I think from the Accelerator site, but you can see sort of where the building might be located, at least the first 100,000 square feet, and then we would expand from there. So from the outside, it's pretty nondescript, but we feel that what goes on inside is quite special. Any questions? I'm happy to.
Excuse me, is this the facility that was built there a couple of years ago, the medicinal marijuana facility, or is this, excuse my naivete, I drove there years, when I got a tour a couple
Oh,
of times.
it would be on new build, all new build.
It's not, no affiliation with the other facility?
That's correct, Steve. That the facility that's was halted on construction was Sativa Medical.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is comparable to Pharmacanis in Hamptonburg then, basically?
But much bigger,
Operation?
yes, but much bigger.
Bigger, but the same, yeah, I took a tour there in Pharmacanis a couple times, so it's much bigger than but the same kind of dispensary, basically, or?
No, process.
It would be cultivation and processing. Probably similar to Pharmacanis, though we would say bigger and better.
Of course.
Okay.
Are big.
Well, you both come from Illinois. They're original with
Yeah.
Illinois as well, I believe, right?
They are, yeah. It's a lot of the companies they are in this space have a base in Illinois just because it was one of the first really robust medical programs.
Yeah, Illinois seems to have it together, I think. That's probably why Pharmacanis was successful in Hamptonburg. So good. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
That looks great.
Yeah.
It does.
Maybe Steve, you can get some samples. You can see the difference.
Yeah, when the time comes.
I didn't see plenty of the Pharmacanis ones, though. I know. I tell you, I was impressed with the security they have there, and they do pay their security substantial dollars. And I know there's one on Dawson Road too, in the town of Walk Hill, right, Eddie? I believe.
Yes.
That one's not operating, right?
It's not operating yet.
No.
But to get to the incentive side of it, so as Rebecca mentioned, this is a phased project. So we're looking at the entirety, basically, of the project. But right now, there will be a portion of what they're doing. They will be looking for potentially bond financing. We've been working with Harris Beach to go down that route. That is one potentially very beneficial item to Green Thumb and Fiorello. We are also looking at a real estate property tax abatement, a pilot for a time yet to be determined. I will tell you at a preliminary glance at our project scoring matrix, it hits the high notes on every single one. So it's almost a perfect score because of the fact that it's in our cluster, it's a designated growth area. The jobs pay very well. The rateable is high. The investment is high. So it really is eligible for the best kind of incentives that we can offer. And of course, in addition to that would be also the mortgage recording tax and the sales and use tax exemption. It would be a large benefit to them, of course, over the phases of the project, but I think it would be a bigger benefit to Orange County to have them here. So today, what we would ask is the resolution would be to accept the application and then move forward to the next steps, which would be public hearing. I will tell you that depending on how the legislation moves, this project could move very quickly because of the diligent work that Mike and the LDC have done. There is really very little from a planning and zoning perspective that that Green Thumb has to do. So they're essentially ready to go as soon as they get the green light for operation. So that being said, today you would be accepting that application. We'll authorize a public hearing, and then we will take it from there in terms of how the legislation works. And of course, Green Thumb is going to be working on the legislation through their channels, but as you know, we've identified our own lobbyists who will also be working in hand as best we can with Green Thumb to ensure that the legislation that does ultimately gets approved is conducive to operation in New York for not only for Green Thumb, but for any other operator.
And the job creation we hope to get, yes.
Right.
Okay, I'll make that motion if you're looking for a motion.
I'll second it.
You have a formal resolution?
Yes.
Did you say how long of the pilot, or we'll talk about that later?
We don't have to determine that right now, but I mean, it would be eligible, absolutely.
All right, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Russ. This is real quickly. This is just the preliminary accepting of the application
Right,
and
gotcha.
authorizing council and staff to get the public hearing going.
And I do think that Mike wanted to say one thing before Kevin.
Yeah, and again, if I just give me a second to tell you, again, this has been a great partnership for us. When Steve Brescia and Bob Scraby first came to look at this site, and they had the vision to bring it back to you folks to say, you know, we see what you want to do here. We wouldn't be here without the partnership with the IDA, the Accelerator. It's been a long haul, but if we can land these folks with high quality jobs, with the integrated process here, it'll just cap it all off for us, and it'll be something that we can all be proud of. And again, I value the partnership we've had with you folks.
Yeah, and Mike, you should, you know, Mike deserves most of the credit. He's the brainchild that put this together, and he made it easier for us to move it along. I mean, that you come from the medical background with your many hats anyway, so you have a familiarity with what they do. But what you guys put together over there is really the boilerplate that a lot of places should use throughout the county. So you just deserve a lot of credit, Mike.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment, and you know, you guys have been great to work with too. I mean, we've had our challenges, but you know, we've been able to work it out, and I think that this is a phenomenal thing, and it's good for them too because it's a great location. I mean, to be in the middle of a former prison ground where there's basically not too much around, you know, is also a very large plus. And what I said to my fellow board members before you came on is that, you know, I feel that this project is a grand slam home run for everybody, you know, for Warwick, for the LDC, for the Orange County IDA. You know, the jobs are very attractive, and you know, to Lori's point, you know, they fit all the boxes that we developed in the UTEMP because these are the kind of companies we wanted to attract. So, you know, good job, and let's hopefully we can make it move forward as quickly as possible.
I do want to join the Mutual Admiration Society here real quickly, because I have to say that when Vinny brought up the idea of investing in a cannabis cluster, that was certainly, I would say, one of the first people who would have thought about that. You know, it was certainly something that I think we got used to a number of years ago. And, you know, this board really saw the value along with the town, but this board really saw that value. And I want to thank Vinny for sort of ushering us into this space, because I feel like this is really, it couldn't have worked out better. I mean, all of the work, all of the things that we've done together with Mike and within the Accelerator has done this. And we couldn't be happier to have found a company like GTI being in the space. So
I want to say the last thing I want to say is, with all our idiosyncrasies, this is always a great team. This board is great. The staff is great. Mike Sweeten is great. We always work together as a team, and that helps. You can't do big projects like this without.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so
Kevin,
let's do the resolution.
Initial resolution for Fiorello Pharmaceuticals Incorporated. Resolution of the Orange County Industrial Development Agency accepting the application of Fiorello Pharmaceuticals, Inc. with respect to a certain project, describing the forms of financial assistance being contemplated by the Orange County Industrial Development Agency with respect to such project, and authorizing a public hearing with respect to such project.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Quinn,
Aye.
Mr. McCary,
Yeah, aye.
Mr. Gatos. Mr. Gatos?
He's on the phone.
Okay, we'll go back to him. Mr.
You
Brescia,
got to vote, Mr. Gatos.
Aye.
Mr. DeSalvo,
Yes.
Mr. Diana,
Yes.
in the Florida sunshine.
Yeah.
Mr. Gaines, was that an aye for you too?
That's a yes.
Okay, and Ms. Rogowski?
Yes.
That's 7 ayes, Madam Chairwoman. The resolution is adopted.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
And GTI.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. We'll be in touch and we'll get the next step started.
Yes, thanks so much. And I just want to echo that everyone's been so great. And we are very excited about this project as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay.
Take care. Best wishes.
Bye, Mike. Thank you.
Take care, Mike.
Okay, and I think the last thing we need to do is we need to do an executive session for something.
It is, actually, it's attorney-client.
Attorney-client, okay.
I guess we'll need the motion and then Dean get ready to stop the stream.
Yeah. So we need a motion to go into attorney-client session.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, thanks for waiting, everybody. We're out of attorney-client. And I think the only thing that's left on the agenda is if there's any other business to be brought up to the board, correct?
Yeah. That's right.
Is there any other board member? Business, excuse me.
No.
Okay, hearing none, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Make a motion.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much for adjourned.
Alex, Jeff, you guys you're free to go. You don't have to wait for our next meeting.
Yeah.
So.
All right, thank you very much.